Wait. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Mother and Son preseason show for the New York Giants. We're here
Hey,
after a 14-3 victory. It was very lackluster, but we're going to take a win when we can get it because who knows how many we're going to get in the regular season. We're going to start our live stream on YouTube in a second here. We have a couple of topics that we want to go over, so we'll hear that when we start the live stream. So I'm good when you are.
yeah, we're good.
Oh, you're live? Oh, you
Yeah.
started at the exact same time I did. I like it. All right. Okay, yes. Well, in that case, for anybody that's on YouTube right now, first of all, on Twitch, please drop a follow. It's free, doesn't cost anything. Same thing with the subscribe and like function over at YouTube. Hit the like button and subscribe if you're not here and you already haven't done so. We get a lot of people that come in here that are not subscribed. Join the family, man. Come watch us be miserable this year. Trust me, it'll be hilarious. I promise you. You won't miss it, or rather, you won't regret it. So please, let's get into this. Let's start off with thoughts on the game. What are your thoughts, Mom? Let's see what you think first.
uh, so preseason game against the Lions. The Giants won. Is that something to celebrate? Not really. They won because they got two touchdowns in the first half and scored. Not no one else scored after that, including the Lions. They had their 3 points, and
Snooze
then
fest.
nothing. And then everybody just took a break in that second half, right?
Yep, pretty much.
Clearly, there's a couple of things here. That was our most of our backups, and also dudes vying for a roster spot, right?
Yep, yep.
So, can we take something from that as far as not scoring in that second half? No, I don't.
Nope.
I don't think we should take anything from that, other than they stink.
Yep.
Okay, and
There was a little bit of
given
improvement.
and given that they were supposed to be putting all their efforts in because they're fighting for a spot,
Right,
there's no excuse.
right.
There's no excuse as to why a team can't score anything in the entire second half of a game.
Not even a field
And
goal.
I don't know what the hell was going on with the Lions. Maybe they just said, let's just go out there and treat it as a workout. Because that
They already don't respect us though after the animosity and the fighting during practice. I mean, you
right,
would have thought
right.
they would have stuck it to us, but I don't think it really mattered to them. They just kind of put in different people to see what they got, and they don't really have a lot in their depth apparently,
No,
which is something that they need to think about on their side of things. But for us, there was a little bit of improvement, but it wasn't that fantastic. It was like the line cut protected a little bit better. It wasn't a slaughter fest, although Drew Lock got injured, which we'll talk about in a little bit. But the fact that it wasn't as embarrassing and brutal as I expected based off of what happened last season. Again, second most sacks in NFL history given up by offensive line, right behind the Philadelphia Eagles, who had the number one spot. But I think there was a little bit of improvement, but it still sucked. Like the mother said, I agree with you there. It was very boring in the second half. When they took Eric Gray out, all of a sudden the offensive production stopped. Um,
mm-hmm.
and again, that means that we focused around the run game. And I mean, Tommy DeVito. Let's talk about Tommy DeVito for a second.
Let's
Tommy
talk
DeVito
about
looked better.
Tommy.
He looked
Yep.
better, way better than Drew Lock. Should he look like he belonged out there, at least? And
Yeah.
there's optimism there. But what happens when he goes down, or if? I don't want to say when, but we don't know. The protection was kind of shady, and although it was backups, there were times when there was some leakage in the coverage, and which is what led to the Drew Lock injury. And if you got a good look at it, it looked like it was some sort of hip injury because he was hitting the hip. But we don't know the severity of the injury. We do know that Brian Dayball has stated he has not practiced since the injury, and he does not have a timetable for when he will start practicing, which is not good.
No.
So at least at the minimum, he could be out and miss the rest of preseason. Will he be ready for regular season? There is nothing on that right now. But the Giants seem very pressed to find someone else in free agency. Anybody. And you know what? Let's just get into that right now. So I have a list of free agent people. Uh, we're going to start off by listing all of the people who are being currently looked at and potentially maybe sign. And then we're
So
going to talk
let me
about one
just
specific. You want to do it?
let me just interrupt with one thing because
Go
we
ahead.
set it up better. So during the New York broadcast of the Giants game, Joe Schoen pops into the broadcaster booth,
I forgot
and
about this.
they're interviewing him, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they're making the nice and just trying to be chill and cool and all that stuff. And for me, I knew as a I have a public relations background, okay?
Mm-hmm.
That was a PR move. The GM rarely stops in to a broadcast booth, even during preseason,
That is
okay?
true.
It's
And preseason of all things.
You really don't see it.
Yeah.
And this was part of his cleanup probably from Hard Knocks,
It's too late.
trying to show him, as a hands-on guy and a guy who's focused and all this other stuff. But he still made what I would call also another public relations mistake. And he started talking about what happened in the first half, because this interview in the broadcast booth during the game with the Lions
Mm-hmm.
was after Drew Lock got knocked out of the game and Tommy DeVito had to come in. So Joe Schoen, he needs to turn his inside voice off when he's talking to the media,
Absolutely.
because he says, well, with Drew going out in the first half, we it makes us kind of wonder, should we be looking at other quarterbacks? We probably need to get some
Yep.
more quarterbacks on our roster.
Mm-hmm.
Because then then this is what he said that really got me. Because after Tommy, what do we do?
Why did I can't believe he said that. I can't believe he said that. And he probably didn't realize he said that either until he watched it again. He's like, oh shoot.
He
Sometimes
probably
people say
forgot there was
things.
cameras rolling and
Yep.
audio being recorded. Maybe he forgot that.
Made himself
He
look
wasn't.
foolish again.
Yes, he's a clown. He is a GM clown. You don't say those types
Totally.
of things. He
No.
could have said that in a way that didn't sound like he was confused about
Right.
what happened. And in addition, revealing the fact that he still doesn't have confidence in Daniel Jones, because if Daniel Jones stays upright and doesn't get hurt, there's no need to have all the four guys behind him to take over should he go down. But he knows Joe Schoen is at all the practices. Most likely, he probably dips in it now. He knows what he has. He's got a team that can't protect their quarterback. So therefore, you can expect your starter to go down and get hurt. And then your second guy happened and it's not new,
Nope.
happened in the 2023 season.
Yep.
And you have to go to your third guy on the roster. But even Tommy got hurt in 2023 season. And I don't know, they pulled somebody out of their butt to to come back in for him. Or maybe by that time, I think Tyrod was done for the season.
Was done.
Yeah, he was done for the season when he got hurt. So it's just a nightmare. And now the talks are, who's left for the Giants to get
right
behind Tommy DeVito, which is just like really disturbing, because
yes,
that's really far down in the depth chart.
No, it is, and thank you for breaking all of that down. So we have here are the options that they may be looking at. You've got Felipe Franks, AJ McCarron, Jeff Driscoll, Tim Boyle, Matt Barkley. Then you've got Blaine Gabbert, Brian Hoyer, Trevor Siemian, Ryan Tannehill. Now, there is a guy on YouTube who was talking about this and covering who he thinks is going to be the options that the Giants look at. And majority of them are not even anybody I listed. He's actually looking toward, there are three people he's trying to look into. It was Nathan Rourke, PJ Walker, and for the last guy, if it pulls it up, it's not pulling them up. It's not even important because it's some other XFL person that I've never heard of. Now, the main person, though, that the Giants allegedly are looking at, according to this content creator who does follow the Giants heavily, and he's got his own following and everything. He's a big time for Giants content. He's big. PJ Walker, the XFL quarterback. I'm going to read you all the stats, everybody at home. It's rough. We're going to start from 2020 and go all the way to current. And then I have everything added together to accumulate what his stats are. So you've got in 2020, averaging 57.1% pass completion, which is horrid. Then you've got 368 passing yards and 1 touchdown and 5 interceptions in 4 games played. This is as a
Oh
backup
man.
now. He wasn't a starter or anything. This is just he had to come in and play. So keep that in mind. So for a situation where this could happen for the Giants, he'll have to come in and play. This is what he might do. In 2021, 54.5% pass completion. He declined 362 yards and also declined there. 1 touchdown and 3 interceptions. The only improvement was less interceptions. And that's 5 games. So he played one more game. Now we've got 2022, 59.4%. That sadly is his highest so far. Pass completion. Still under 60%. Again, horrible. 731 passing yards and 3 touchdowns and 3 interceptions. The first time he went 1 for 1 in terms of TD interception ratio in 6 games. And then his last season, he just played 48.6% pass completion.
Oh my God. What?
674 yards,
Mm-hmm.
1 touchdown, and 5 interceptions again. So if I total it up, that is 21 games, 16 interceptions, and 6 touchdowns. That's who the Giants are looking at.
Um,
Your
yeah.
thoughts?
What thoughts? There's nothing to think about. We have no options that are viable to carry this team to potential victories during this season. We just don't have them.
Nope.
And they waited too long, so they weren't able to grab the quarterbacks that actually are halfway decent. Those guys are already signed up somewhere, right?
Yep.
Their other option is to wait until the other teams cut to make their rosters for the 2024 season. But now we're getting the throwaway quarterback.
I was just about to say, we'll just get people who are undesirable. They're undesirable.
The
That's
undesirables. That's what we're getting back.
And we don't need that.
No, we don't.
We need game changers and we need people who are going to win now. But we're not going to get that. Not even winning now, just better. They just got to be better. Like, we don't have any. Like, look at the option that we're looking at. He can barely get over 60% pass completion. Like 16 interceptions to 6 touchdowns. It doesn't get any worse than that.
No, it does not.
Well, it kind of did. Mike Glennon.
I was trying to think of his name last night, and I was thinking about the options. Yeah, he was. Yeah, that was not.
We might get that. We might get that with this PJ Walker character now.
Yeah, it's possible. It's very possible.
But if they're looking at him, like, that just means there really is nothing. Like you said, there's just nothing, and there quite frankly won't be. It's just a drought for quarterbacks. All the good ones are franchised in and locked in for good reason, because there's nothing else out there. It's a shame. So we have this situation. Joe Schoen is out here looking stupid again, trying to figure out what he needs to do. Like he said, what do you do when Tommy DeVito's out? Well, what do we do? This is our general manager of our team, guys. Saying, what are you going to do on national television? No leader should ever say, what are you going to do in a situation when something happens? No leader should ever do that. Imagine if any president, doesn't matter who right now, said, oh, what do we do when this happens? I don't know. Everybody would be freaking out and be like, what do you mean? What do we do? You're the leader.
You're the leader.
As my mother says, he needs to figure this out.
He needs to figure it out, and he needs to edit himself. I'm gonna, I can provide media training to the Giants. Please shout me out. Send me a DM to provide media training, because that's what I do for a living.
Yeah, he needs it.
I could do that. I can help.
Yeah, no, he needs help,
because he's not saying things that make sense to make it sound like you're having some sort of competitive situation. And because you're not being competitive, they're now, 24 hours a day on defense. Okay, how do we insulate ourselves from having hurt quarterbacks all the time? We need to get more guys and more quarterbacks. I mean,
they're not even thinking about making plans to win at this point. It's just to survive.
It's just survival mode.
It's not.
You can't win seasons just surviving. No.
He's trying to
No,
figure out how to survive when the real plan should have been how do we rebuild to make a good powerhouse team to win. But now he's just trying to figure out how to survive. And
exactly.
this is
And I
not how you
don't
win the game.
know. No, this is not how you do it. This is not how you're going to make a name for yourself
No.
across the league and be a viable competitor. Everybody who had an opportunity to hear him speak during game night on the preseason game, saw Hard Knocks, saw how the team performed during that preseason game. All of the team, other team coaches and staff, they now have a clear understanding that if they don't win, they're real idiots because if they play the Giants this season, they probably know we should win because of
It's
the crappy
unorganized.
dynamics. It's
Yeah, it's
unorganized.
unorganized. They look aloof. They're just phoning it in. And this is another thing. This just goes to show that all the decisions they made really were ass backwards because he really wanted and it's expected Drew Lock to compete with Daniel Jones for a starting spot, and then watched him get injured in almost double the amount of plays that it took for Aaron Rodgers to get injured, and is now trying to figure out who is going to be the backup quarterback when he was certain that Drew Lock could take the starting spot. So what would he have done if Drew Lock was in the starting spot and got hurt, and then now he has to put Daniel Jones in, and then he gets hurt? Like, where was the planning? And then that's another thing. If you were so confident that Drew Lock could take his spot, you were okay with paying 160 million to a backup quarterback after not paying Saquon? Ass backwards decisions across the board. Nothing makes sense. Where in this plan was there a fluid idea and consistent thought process?
Oh, fluid idea. What a concept.
And a consistent thought process.
Yeah.
Where? We first started off, let's figure out how we can pay Saquon. Oh, just have him test the market. Tell him to ask other teams what they'll pay him.
Let's find out from other teams how much you're worth, and then we'll figure out what we should pay you based on what other teams would pay you.
And then in that same week that they did that, they had meetings about it, and they were like, do we really think anyone will pay him? The next question, is there anybody of more value than Saquon? Where were these questions coming from?
That was my favorite one. That is there anybody of more value? Because if there are, they're not. First of all, they're not looking to come on the Giants, and they're not available.
And what would you give to get him? Well, and another thing, if they're on contract, what would you give to get them? What do you have?
Right.
There was no thought process that was consistent with any of these plans.
These guys are they're a bunch of clowns. It's a circus act 24 hours a day at the Giants headquarters. New York Giants are complete idiots. They're jesters in a circus of the NFL. That's what that's what they are.
It's horrible.
It's so embarrassing. And I just want to see something that says, okay, well, maybe all the confusion is all figured out. I can't say that after the initial go with what we have. And yes, we watch it play out through the rest of the season. Yeah, of course. Yeah. But
we have no choice.
We know what's in store. Not much.
Yep. Just like that first game, not much.
No.
Backups versus backups. Imagine starters versus starters. It would actually be worse, and I think the score would be flipped.
Mm-hmm.
It certainly will be flipped. Our schedule is tougher than it has been in years for a bad team, a losing team.
Yeah.
And it's all because our division, almost all of us made it in the playoffs back to back in 2 seasons. So they were like, all right, the NFC East needs more competition. And it's mainly for the Eagles and the Cowboys. And honestly, you could put the Commanders in there now. We're the only team that has no chance of being competitive.
We're the only one. So bad.
It used to be the Commanders were the only team that was never competitive. And the Cowboys would always choke when they needed to choke. And the Eagles and Giants just butt heads. Now it's just the Cowboys and Eagles, but really it's just the Eagles. The Eagles are like a super team. This is rough.
Oh man, just the word Eagles and super team makes my stomach
But
turn.
that's what they are. Like they were able to pay all these people, and I don't know how they did it, but they did. All they were missing, allegedly, this is allegedly what they were missing: a good run game. Allegedly, last year, that's what they were missing: a good run game. They got it. They're a super team because they got
Yeah,
they got those receivers. As far as I'm concerned, none of them left. Uh, they still got Jalen Hurts. They got
yeah,
Saquon now, and now they
yeah,
just added Saquon. They just added Saquon. That's it. They didn't have to do anything. And since the Giants didn't have any sort of thing to do for Saquon, he just walked away for free. Didn't have to get anything for it. Nothing. When we could have
yeah.
traded him last season or something. That's what they should have did if they really wanted to get rid of him and not pay him. And if this was their thought process,
No, we
they should have
haven't
just
really
freaking
talked.
traded him.
Yeah, we haven't really talked about the fact that we let him walk and didn't get anything for it.
Nothing at
You're
all.
right.
We walked away
we, yeah, you're
when we
right.
could have traded him last season.
Yeah,
This right when he had a crazy season before that. We could have traded him if they really wanted to get rid of him. They could have traded him and got picks for it. But no, we paid him after he said he didn't want to leave. And then they paid him not even what he asked for, but they paid him. And he barely agreed to it and just decided to agree to it because he had no choice. And the relationship was already damaged. And then we go through the same scenario again. And Saquon said the same thing. I already told you where I want to. That stuck with me. I already told you where I want to be. I already told you. How many times did he tell him?
yeah, that's true.
It
Yeah.
makes it, but we want to pay somebody 160 million to put them on the goddamn bench. Ass
And be work and
backwards.
plan around
Decisions.
yeah, it's ass backwards and planning around the demise of your 160 million, whatever it was, quarterback. You have to plan around him not being available without him not
Oh God.
with him currently being available because he didn't play in the preseason game, but he was available, but nobody plays their starters and in the
No,
preseason. But they're already talking about planning around him
because he's not
because
ready.
they know he's not ready. They know he's going to go down at some point and not be able to get up or be out for a half of a game and somebody has to come in, and they know what's going to happen already. They can foresee everything. So their planning is around the screw ups, is around the demise of their top guy. The whole get weapons. Yeah, okay, but now they're just trying to build the fort.
They're building that thing with freaking toothpicks. I, I I don't know what they're doing. Some toothpicks
It's
and
not a
glue.
fort. It's not a fort. I'm going to go back to our analogy. It's a circus tent. They're building a freaking circus tent
Oh
made of
God.
mesh. So when it rains, it falls down. That's the circus tent of horrors. That's what they're building.
We can only wonder what these next couple of preseason games will bring us. I'm terrified to see a quarterback go out there and play.
Oh,
I've
yeah.
I've always honestly since last season I'm going to have PTSD watching my quarterback drop back, whoever it is. I'm gonna have
Mm-hmm.
PTSD because
Yeah.
all I'm going to remember is Daniel Jones getting sacked like what was it, 11 times in one game.
It was so, I mean, you
That
really
was an
never see
actual
that many
clinic.
times. Yeah,
That
that
was an
was,
actual clinic. Like I know a lot of people use the phrase like, "Oh, that was a clinic." No, that was a real clinic. Dude looked like he was ready to just give up and pass out on the field and not get back up.
yeah,
That
yeah.
was brutal. I don't think I've ever seen a quarterback get beat up like that. That was, and again, this is with the rule changing to protect the quarterback during sacks. He still got beat up. After that, he wasn't the same. I mean, he already wasn't good, but after that, if a quarterback gets sacked 11 times in a game, they don't play the same. They're scared. They're thinking, how many times am I going to get fucked up this game? Like that's it. And that's exactly what you saw from him. He was scared. And then he got injured and it was over. That was it. And then we had to pray that Tommy DeVito and Tyrod Taylor would get hurt. And then Tyrod Taylor ends up getting hurt in the game that we went to. And then we got to watch Tommy DeVito play for the first time. And that whole thing was a circus act because we gave away the victory and forced overtime. Well, they forced overtime. We allowed overtime, and then we lost on overtime in the friggin' rain. Yeah, guys, I'm never gonna forget that because that's the last game I've been to, and that's just what I remember against the friggin' Jets.
And we play the Texans on the August 17th
Oh, we're
in
gonna
the
lose that
afternoon.
game.
It's a Saturday. It's a Saturday. It's a Saturday game.
We're not
Um,
gonna stop that quarterback.
in in
Eventually.
Texas. Yeah.
Oh God,
Um,
we'll stop him in the first half. I guarantee you, for in the first half, he won't do a lot, but that defense is gonna be on the field so much they'll be tired, and he's just gonna start balling. It's just gonna
yes,
eventually
I mean
start
I've
happening.
watched the Texans, they didn't look so bad.
CJ Stroud is good, man.
I don't know
That
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 he's
team's
going to
not
be
gonna be
playing,
bad.
but they might give him a couple of, couple of reps out there. I don't know. He might get a couple of passes
Daniel
thrown.
Jones, you think
No,
Danny?
CJ. No. Oh,
CJ Stroud, I
I
thought he was a starter. Am I lying?
he is a starter. He yes, but it's preseason. I just that the
Oh, you're talking. Oh God, I thought you were talking
August
about regular season.
17th. No,
Sorry,
August 17th
the
is
sun is
the
not paying
preseason
attention.
game. Right. It's our second, it's
Shocker.
week 2 on our second of 3 preseason games.
Well, then,
So,
yeah, well, I mean,
and then we have the Jet, of course, we have the Jets after that in
oh,
the
great.
preseason at the end of the month. But, what we don't really have that much to look forward to. Well,
No,
actually, I am curious because this is going to be a pivotal week. The week leading up to this second
I want to
preseason
see Eric
game.
Gray play again.
Right. Eric Gray really did a great job. And, I kept saying, watching, I was like, this guy was in the shadow of my former nephew, Saquon Barkley.
Mhm.
And you weren't able to see what he can do.
Nope.
And in his shadow, he also probably learned a few things or two.
Oh, absolutely. He definitely picked up on his moves and everything and
Yeah.
all of that.
So it was good that he, did have time with Saquon. And he shows that he can do something. He's not as strong as Saquon, I don't think, because he doesn't have those huge legs, those huge
I don't
thighs.
expect it. Yeah,
The
that's like
quadriceps,
generational build right there that
he
Saquon
doesn't
Barkley
have
has.
Saquon's quadriceps, but
No.
but hopefully he'll recognize that he might need to, build up a little bit more. But he was quick and he did the job, and he was the only one that was able to do it as far
Yeah,
as cross
seriously.
get into the end zone.
They took him out and
So
we had nothing after that.
yeah,
Literally took him.
so
They probably didn't want him to get hurt. How about that?
and Gray is our backup. I mean, Singletary is supposed to be our starting running back.
I want Eric Gray to be the
So,
starter.
well, at this point, I think it's anybody's job.
I want Eric Gray.
I think it's
He's
anybody's
fresh.
job
He's
right
young
now.
legs. Let him use them,
Yeah, yeah, and
or just use them both. You can use them both.
and he deserves a shot to be able to show that he can play a game and he can be a starting running back and not just a backup to the main event.
What they need to
So
do is start using different formations. Like use more pistol and just have two running backs. Just have him and Singletary out there.
yeah,
They can figure it
yeah,
out.
yeah. So that's definitely
They don't
hopefully
even
in
need
the
to be
cards.
pistol. They
Yeah.
can just have three backs, the quarterback and the two running backs on the left and right. And then they can just do
Hmm.
like option and stuff that way. They could do a lot with that.
I think you need to send that over to them.
Oh
They need
God, no,
help.
they'll think that that's too good of an idea and just figure something else out. Let's just not have any running backs on the field. How about that? That's what they would say. Some ass backwards decision. So, but I don't know. I was okay. Look, I started off thinking that the Lions backups would destroy our backups because I just assumed, based off of what we saw our starters look like last season, I didn't know what to expect. I'm going to give a more realistic prediction this time. Since we scored 14 points and it was only in the first half, I wouldn't be so far fetched to say that we could score 17 in the first half and then the score just finishes 21-17, something like that. Again, it all depends on how the defense looks because the defense looked nice, but I don't want to get too excited because it was all backups. I don't know what the starters look like, but from what I saw, they were able to handle the Lions' offensive backups for the most part.
Yeah.
But the Texans are a little bit different. I don't know. We'll have to see. I do think that the Texans can score, just like I thought the Lions could score. The Lions just I don't know. They fumbled when they muffed those two punts back to back. That messed up the whole momentum for the rest of the game, to be honest. So I can't see that happening to the Texans. If the Texans special teams can do what they need to do, I feel like they can get the momentum, and especially if CJ Stroud gets reps. If he gets some reps, they're probably going to score. They're more than likely going to score.
The Texans beat the Steelers last night, 2012.
Well, there you go. They're probably going to score 21. Not going to score it. It's the Giants are worse than the Steelers, so
Yeah,
they could probably score. They could probably score 21 plus. I can see that, even though it's the
yeah.
backups. I say 21 to maybe 17. I think the
And
Giants can make it a good game. Maybe,
yeah.
maybe if Eric Gray gets time, I can see him scoring again.
And I think that the Steelers, I didn't watch the full game when it came on, but they were playing around with their third string in Justin Fields.
How do you
But I
look?
don't, just yeah, they didn't really play him all that much from the time that
Oh,
I saw, but I could be wrong because I didn't watch that. I was going back and forth between them and the other
okay.
game which is on. But I would bet that they give more reps to Justin Fields for this Giants game
Okay.
next weekend. I'm
They
sorry,
more
not
than like
next, not
no,
not next weekend. Sorry, they're not playing them. Sorry, the
I know what you
next
meant.
time they play,
Right. I know what
they
you meant.
would they would give more reps to. But at the same time, with C.J. Stroud and I can't remember who was backing him up. His backup wasn't bad.
I
Actually,
can't
there was
remember who his backup
there was
is.
I can't remember. There's so many I just can't remember. And also there was a lot of guys from New Jersey playing across the teams playing on Friday night. It was weird. I was like, they kept
Jersey.
saying this person from New Jersey and this person from such and such a. I was like, where the NFL's
Jersey
full of
produces a
Jersey
lot of
guys.
athletes. Jersey has always produced a lot of athletes. Jersey
Yeah.
is known for running backs, receivers, and quarterbacks, and that's mainly what we're known for, skill positions.
Yes. Yes. So, we'll see what happens with the Texans, and they are a team that all the sports media is looking at to have a potential breakout season.
Yep.
So we'll see what happens, and it'll be a good opportunity for them to play against a crappy Giants team.
Oh yeah, yeah, well.
But
Yeah.
this week, the week leading up to the second preseason game is going to be pivotal because I believe they'll add one other quarterback to the roster this week. To the
Yeah.
temporary roster because the final roster is not done, right? So they'll
No.
add someone on to try out. Because of Drew Lock, and what was the time frame that you saw that Drew Lock may not practice and or play?
So he hasn't practiced in a couple of days since the game. It's only been 2 or 3 days. But he
Right.
hasn't done any sort of activity at all, according to Brian Daboll. And he did not give a timetable when he's coming back. So that generally means at least another week to 2 weeks. I mean, he's clearly not going to be playing in this game coming up. He didn't say he was going to play. He didn't mention anything. He just said, I don't really know. We'll just keep you updated. It was very shady. You know how Dayball is. He's shady.
Yes, and that is a definitive no. We will not see Drew. They're going to keep
He's
him
not. He's
out,
not. He's not playing.
and
No
it's
way.
not worth putting him out there at this time. Almost hurt because if he's not fully hurt, he's almost hurt. But I
DeVito's
think
gonna get
he's
a lot of
hurt.
rips.
I think he's fully and again, what was the quote I have from Joe Schoen? After Tommy, what do we do? So I don't think they're gonna put Daniel out there behind Tommy,
No, no, Mister. I'm not
right?
ready. No.
Right. So this week we're gonna see which of the guys from the McDonald's French fry line is gonna be it's gonna be a quarterback in training at the New York Giants.
Oh God. So yeah, that's pretty much it. We're gonna keep you guys updated. We're probably not gonna do any more podcasts until the game because we pretty much just gave you our predictions. So there's no reason to do another podcast on predicting unless something crazy happens, like we get an update on what Drew Lock's injury is, or it's something that they have to discuss and say, hey, we did a MRI, and I don't know. So
And then
we'll
they
have to
have to
see.
get a QB this week. They've got to
Yeah,
get somebody.
they will, but we still need to figure out what they're gonna do with Drew Lock. Maybe they'll give us an update on his injury. We at least need to know what's going on
Yeah,
at the
yeah.
very least. They can't. That last injury report I saw where it said McCaughlin, he had a lower body injury. It just said lower body. That's all it said. Like, I just hope it's
That could
nothing
be
shady like
anything.
that.
Could be
Right.
his
That's what I was.
toe.
Right. So I'm like, what's going on? Like, what's the injury? Lower body injury. I'm hoping we don't see that for Drew Lock because I'll really be upset if they just go, oh, Drew Lock's out, lower body injury or abdomen injury, some bull crap. I don't know.
Yeah, it's really possible. It really is.
You never know with these people. After Hard Knocks, who knows? I don't know what to expect anymore. But at the same
Yeah.
time, if it's tomfoolery, it's expected.
Yep. Exactly.
So,
Exactly.
but that's it, everybody. We're done. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you haven't done so. Anyone on Twitch, drop a follow. Um, we will be back probably the day after, if not the same day, for the next preseason game. It also depends on what happens. Again, it's a circus act. Maybe there'll be something entertaining in a bad way that we have to talk about. So, so until then, make sure you share with your friends and family. Help the family grow. This is called family bonding now. We need
It
more
is.
people in the family to grow and bond. Let's do that.
We totally do.
We need you to subscribe and help us grow. But that's it, everybody. Take care.
Take care.